The Neman, Nemunas, Nyoman, Niemen and Memel, a major Eastern European river, rises in Belarus and flows through Lithuania before draining into the Curonian Lagoon, and then into the Baltic Sea at Klaipėda. It begins at the confluence of two smaller tributaries, about 15 kilometers southwest of the town of Uzda in central Belarus, and about 55 kilometers southwest of Minsk. In its lower reaches it forms the border between Lithuania and Russia's Kaliningrad Oblast. It also, very briefly, forms part of the border between Lithuania and Belarus, the 14th largest river in Europe, the largest in Lithuania and the third largest in Belarus. The Neman is navigable for most of its 900 kilometers length. The Nemunas river basin formed during the Quaternary period and is located roughly along the edge of the last glacial sheet, dating from about 25,000 to 22,000 years BC. Its depth varies from 1 meter in its upper courses to 5 meters in the lower basin. Largest settlements on the river. From west to east, the largest settlements are Sovisk, Tilsit, Neman, Ragnit, Kaunas, Alytus, Druskininkai, Druskininiki, Rodno, Grodno, and Masti, Nemunas, Neman by numbers. The total length of the Nemunas, Neman is 914 kilometers. It is the 14th longest river in Europe and the 4th longest in the Baltic Sea basin. Over its entire length, 436 kilometers flows in Belarus and 359 kilometers in Lithuania. A 116 kilometers stretch is the border between Lithuania and Russia's Kaliningrad Oblast. Its greatest depth is 5 meters, and at its widest it extends about 500 meters. The Nemunas, Neman is a slow river. It flows at about 1 to 2 meters per second. During floods, water discharge can increase up to 11-fold, to more than 6,800 cubic meters per second. Severe floods occur on the lower reaches of the river about every 12 to 15 years, which sometimes wash out bridges. The Nemunas, Neman is an old river, dating back to the last glacial period. Its valley is now up to 60 meters deep and 5 kilometers broad. It has about 105 first-class tributaries, the largest being the rivers Neris, Shara, and Sesup. 15 of the tributaries are longer than 100 kilometers. In the complete Nemunas, Neman basin, there are tributaries extending to the 11th order. The Nemunas basin in Lithuania drains more than 20,000 rivers and rivulets and covers 72% of Lithuania's territory. The total area of the Nemunas, Neman basin is 98,200 square kilometers, 34,610 square kilometers of which are within Belarus. The Lithuanian portion of this basin is 46,695 square kilometers. Valley of Neman in Grodno region is the lowest point above sea level in Belarus at 80 to 90 meters. Significance in culture. The river has lent its name to a Neolithic subculture, originally based on hunting, fishing, and gathering. Its inhabitants gradually adopted domesticated plants and animals. In German, the part of the river flowing in Prussia has been called Die Memel at least since about 1250, when Teutonic knights erected Memelberg Castle and the town of Memel at the mouth of the Curonian Lagoon, baptizing it after the indigenous name of the river, Memel. The city of Memel, now in Lithuania, is known today as Klaipėda. On German road maps and in German lexica, only the 112-kilometer section within Prussia was named Memel. The part outside Germany was labeled Niemen. The border between the state of the Teutonic Order and Lithuania was fixed in 1422 by the Treaty of Lake Melno and remained stable for centuries. The Treaty of Tilsit between Napoleon and Tsar Alexander I was signed on a raft in the river in 1807. Napoleon's crossing at the outset of the 1812 French invasion of Russia is described in War and Peace. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles made the river the border separating the Memel territory from German East Prussia as of 1920. At the time, Germany's Weimar Republic adopted the Deutschlandlied as its official national anthem. In the first stanza of the song, written in 1841, the river is mentioned as the eastern border of Germany. Lithuanians refer to the Nemunas as the father of rivers. Countless companies and organizations in Lithuania have Nemunas in the name, including a folklore ensemble, a weekly magazine about art and culture, a sanatorium, and numerous guest houses and hotels. Lithuanian and Polish literature often mention the Nemunas. One of the most famous poems by Myronas starts, "Almost every Lithuanian can recite these words by heart." There are many other smaller rivers and rivulets in Lithuania with names that may have been derived from Nemunas, Nemanaikstis, Nemunaukas, Nemananas, Nemunelis, Nemunaitis. The etymology of the name is disputed. Some say that Nemunas is an old word meaning a damp place, while others say that Nemunas was a god in Baltic mythology. Art critics praised its depiction in the paintings by Mitchell Kulisa. Nemunas, Neman loops. Since the loops are located in Lithuania, they are often referred to as the Nemunas loops. In 1992, Nemunas Loops Regional Park was founded. Its goal is to preserve the loops that the Nemunas makes in the Punya forest. Near Prienai, the Nemunas makes a 17-kilometer-long loop, coming within 1.2 kilometers of completing the loop. The Nemunas flows along the double bend between Balbiriskis and Burstonas for 48 kilometers and then moves in a northerly direction for only 4.5 kilometers. The loops are not conventional river meanders. They follow underlying tectonic structures, the faults of the source of the mineral springs in the area. The area is historically and culturally significant. Its castles served as the first line of defense against forays by the Teutonic Knights. Delta. At its delta, the Nemunas splits into a maze of river branches and canals mixing with polders and wetlands, and is a very attractive destination for ecotourism. The four main distributaries are Atmata, Pakalna, Skirvite and Gilia. The river plays a crucial part in the ecosystem of the Curonian Lagoon. It provides the main water inflow to the lagoon and keeps the water almost fresh. This allows both freshwater and mixed water animals to survive there. As the river's delta expands, the lagoon shrinks. Since the delta is located in Lithuania, it is often referred to as Nemunas Delta. Nemunas Delta Regional Park was created in the delta in 1992. Tributaries. The Nemunas, Neman tributaries are the rivers Neris, Shara, Sesup, Zarnahansa, Svaslach, Nevesias River, Dubiza, Jura, Minya, Berezina, Zelvianka, Molchad, Roz, Servich, Losha, Gorodnichanka and others. Economic significance. The Nemunas River is used for a variety of purposes such as fishing, hydropower generation, water supply, industry, and agriculture, as well as recreation, tourism, and water transport. There have been proposals to deepen its watercourse below Kaunas to make it more consistently usable. The largest cities on the river are Grodno in Belarus, Alytus and Kaunas in Lithuania, and Sovisk in the Kaliningrad Oblast of Russia. The river basin has a population of 5.4 million inhabitants. Industrial activities in the Belarusian section include metal processing, chemical industries, pulp and paper production, and manufacturing of building materials, as well as food processing plants. In Lithuania, the city of Kaunas, with about 400,000 inhabitants, is the country's principal user of the river. The local industries that impact the river are hydropower generation, machinery, chemical, wood processing and paper production, furniture production, textile and food processing. In Kaliningrad, industrial centers near the river include Sovisk and Neman, which have large pulp and paper production facilities. Above Kaunas, a dam was built in 1959 to serve the Kaunas hydroelectric power plant. The resulting Kaunas reservoir is the largest such lake in Lithuania. It occupies 63.5 square kilometers. Its length is 93 kilometers. Its greatest depth is 22 meters. The reservoir is a popular destination for Lithuanian yachting. The Augusto Canal, built in the 19th century, connects the Neman to the Vistula River. Biological communities. The following fish have been found in the Nemunas: Neman River, perch, pike, zander, roach, tench, bream, rudd, ruff, and bleak. Its tributaries also contain stone loach, the three-spined stickleback, minnows, trout, sculpins, gudgeon, dace and chub. Atlantic salmon formerly migrated upstream to spawn. However, dam constructions on the river, most of which took place during the 20th century, has reduced the numbers considerably. The dam at Kaunas does not provide fish ladders. The spawning season took place in the fall. Ethnographic studies of the time report that night fishing, using torches and harpoons, was a common technique. Environmental issues. A report by the Swedish EPA rates the quality of the Nemunas in Lithuania as moderately polluted or polluted. High concentrations of organic pollutants, nitrates and phosphates occur in different parts of the river. Environmental issues include water quality, changes in the hydrological regime, and flooding control. The environmental problems in each of the countries that make up the basin are slightly different. In Belarus, the main problems are oil products as well as nitrogen and BOD. The environmental issues in the Kaliningrad section include high concentrations of BOD, lignosulfates, and nitrogen. In Lithuania, the operations of the Kaunas hydroelectric power plant cause changes of the water level that affect the riparian ecosystem. Old wastewater treatment facilities along the entire river also contribute to pollution. The cooperation necessary to ensure the health of the river is complicated by the political divisions in the basin. Its territory is shared among Russia, Belarus and the European Union country of Lithuania. Several cooperation initiatives are underway to address the environmental issues of the river.